What's up, awesome YouTubers? Ryan1988 or Justin back here to do a video for you all. And today I'm here to talk about my top 10 current favorite horror movie franchises. Now, this was a hard list to make, so if y'all want to see my top 20 through 11, I'll definitely do that. But I thought I would start with the top 10. And again, if you want to see more of my favorite horror movie franchise list, let me know down below. And I can do that sometime in the future. Maybe in October. But anyway, I am back to do this list again. And I also want to mention, thank you so much for supporting the channel for almost 16 years. I recently hit 4,500 subscribers, 4,500, and that is amazing. I never thought I'd be making videos still today. And if it wasn't for your love and support, I would not be here. So thank you for that. Again, almost 16 years here on YouTube, and I've reached 4,500 subscribers. And that list could go down at some point. I could lose a subscriber, you never know. But right now I'm just really happy, and I am blessed and thankful that you all are watching and enjoying the videos. So big thank you to you all. Now let's get started with my top 10 favorite horror movie franchise list, and I picked my favorite movie from each franchise. So coming in at number 10, Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, and then the Hellraiser franchise. So this was really tough because number 11 almost made it. Almost made the list. But again, if you all want to see my top 20 through 11, I'm not going to mention it yet. But the Hellraiser franchise. This franchise has grown on me a lot. Of course, there are definitely the downs of this franchise. But for me, there's a lot of movies in this franchise I love or really enjoy. Hellbound Hellraiser 2 is my favorite, though. And I absolutely love it. So I love the fact that they expand the story. They continue where the first one left off. Claire Higgins as a villain, as Julia, is great. Pinhead and the Cenobites are awesome. Ashley Lawrence, Kirsty Cotton in this movie. I think she's even better in this movie than she was in the first one, and she was great in that first one. I just like that her character expanded a little bit more, and we got to see her in the sequel. So for me, the Hellraiser franchise, I absolutely love it, and this is my favorite of that franchise. Coming in at number 9 is the Of Dead George Romero movies, and Dawn of the Dead is my favorite of that franchise. The first two movies in my eyes are perfect. I love them. Day of the Dead, don't love as much as the first two movies. And then the last three movies are kind of hit and miss. But there's not a bad one in my opinion. I think probably the worst of the franchise is Survival of the Dead. Land of the Dead has grown on me quite a bit. I really enjoy that movie now. And Dire of the Dead is fun, and Survival of the Dead is fun. But Dawn of the Dead is where it is at when it comes to this franchise. I love this movie. I love the characters. I love the setting, the atmosphere, the eeriness about it. The practical work. It could be outdated for some people now, but back in the 70s, this was awesome. And I still think it's awesome today. So Dawn of the Dead and the Of Dead George Romero franchise comes in at number 9. Coming in at number 8 is the Evil Dead franchise. And of course, I picked the original. This is my favorite of the franchise. Now, this does go back and forth. I love Evil Dead 2. That is fantastic. Army of Darkness, I love now. It's grown on me quite a bit. The Evil Dead reboot has grown on me quite a bit. I love that movie so much. And Evil Dead Rise, I think, is fantastic. But the original Evil Dead is my favorite, and this franchise is awesome, and it had to be on my top 10 favorite horror movie franchises list. Coming in at number 7 is the Psycho franchise, and Psycho is my favorite of the franchise. Classic movie, and I think the sequels are underrated. Like, not many people talk about this franchise when it comes to horror movie franchises. Psycho 2 is one of the best horror movie sequels ever made. Psycho 3 has grown on me quite a bit. I love Psycho 4. I think it's a great sequel and prequel, and I actually really enjoy the remake now. But the original is the best. Still, check out this horror movie franchise if you've never watched any of the movies after this. I highly recommend them. So, especially the first 2 through 4. Check those out. Coming in at number 6. Had to think about that. Coming in at number 6 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the franchise, and this is my favorite of the franchise. So the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I love the remake. I love the beginning. I love even some of the underrated gems like the new Texas Chainsaw and Texas Chainsaw 3D. Part 2, absolutely love it. It is crazy. And then the rest, I either really enjoy, love them, or I think they're pretty darn solid movies. But the original is still my favorite. Absolutely love it. And it is one of my favorite franchises of all time. So, Texas Chainsaw Massacre comes in at number 6. Absolutely adore that franchise. Coming in at number 5, the Child's Play franchise, or the Chucky franchise. Child's Play is still my favorite one. I know a lot of people say Part 2 is. Part 2 is one of my favorites. Part 3 is underrated. I love it. Bride of Chucky is my second favorite after this movie here. And Curse of Chucky being one of the best. Seed of Chucky, Cult of Chucky, and the remake are fun. I really enjoy them. But when it comes down to the best of the franchise, it is Child's Play, and it is my favorite of the franchise. I think I've said that twice already now. And it's one of my favorite horror movie franchises. Coming in at number 4 is the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, and A New Nightmare is my favorite of the franchise. I love the fact that this went back to the dark tone that the original movie had. It went back to the scares. It went back to the eeriness about the original film. And it was a good, fresh take at the time for the franchise. New Nightmare, I absolutely love it. And I love the franchise. You know, the only one in the franchise I don't like is Freddy's Dead. But I either love or really enjoy the rest of the movies. New Nightmare is my favorite. Absolutely love it. Now, the original film, of course, is close to the second best one. To a lot of people, it is the best one. I love that movie so much. Dream Master, Nightmare 4, that is amazing. That is my third favorite of the franchise. Freddy's Revenge is so underrated, but it's getting a lot of love now than it used to. And then the rest of the movies like Dream Warrior and Dream Child, I love those movies. I'm one that really enjoys the remake. Freddy vs. Jason is a ball of fun, and I think it's great. Again, the only one I don't like is Freddy's Dead. But I think it's a film that I can watch and just kind of, put it on in the background and it be there. But it's not a great movie, in my opinion. So, The New Nightmare, absolutely love it. Coming in at number 3 is the Friday the 13th franchise, and Jason Lives is my favorite of the franchise. Awesome movie, awesome characters, awesome soundtrack, one-liners. This movie is fantastic. CJ Graham being one of my favorite Jasons. And I love this franchise. This is a franchise where I either love or really enjoy the movies. There's not a bad one in my opinion, and that's like that with my top 3 favorite horror movie franchises. This is a go-to franchise of mine. This movie is, again, my favorite of the franchise, and it's one I go to quite a bit. So, coming in at number 3, the Friday the 13th franchise, and Jason Lives is my favorite of the franchise. Coming in at number 2, this might be a little controversial, I don't know, but number 2 is the Scream franchise. This is an awesome franchise. No, this is a fantastic franchise. And years ago, I would not have put this at number 2. I would have said like Nightmare or Friday the 13th would be like my number 2 of favorite horror movie franchises. But Scream, the franchise, has grown on me so much. I've always loved the franchise, but I love it even more now. And in my eyes, there's not a bad movie in this franchise. I think the weakest movie is a film that I really enjoy, and that is Scream 4. But I love a lot of them. And Scream is my favorite one right now. Now, it does go back and forth. I think Scream 2 is excellent. And that is a close second favorite next to this movie. But at one point, that was my favorite of the franchise. So it could go back and forth. But Scream is amazing. I love it, and I'm looking forward to seeing Scream 7. I think it comes out next year. And then, lastly, I don't think no one is going to be surprised with this, but the Halloween franchise is my favorite horror movie franchise. Halloween being my favorite of the franchise. It's my favorite horror movie, and it's my favorite movie of all time. This is the movie that made me fall in love with movies in general. And it's what made me fall in love with this genre of films. I love the horror movie franchise because of this movie, and I love this franchise. There's not a bad movie. You heard me say, there is not a bad movie in this franchise. I think even the weakest movie is a lot of fun, and it's a film that I really enjoy, and it goes back and forth. So I'm not going to tell you right now what my least favorite is, but my favorite is Halloween, the John Carpenter classic. I absolutely love it, and for me, this is my favorite horror movie franchise and my favorite movie of the franchise. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed my top 10 favorite horror movie franchise list. This is my current favorite horror movie franchise. It could change over time. Years later, I could make this video again and you could see something different, or it could be rearranged. But if you want to see my top 20 through 11 of my favorite horror movie franchises, maybe I'll do that in October. Let me know if you all want to see that. And lastly, once again, thank you so much for getting me to 4,500 subscribers. Again, without you, I don't know if I would still be making videos. I love you all, and I appreciate your support so much. So as always, you all are awesome, you all rock, and in with the positive, out with the negative. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.